Monday Night Rugby on Off the Ball.
With Vodafone, main sponsor of the Irish rugby team. We all belong to the team of us.
It would have been wrong, I think, to start with refereeing decisions, but they do obviously loom large in the memory. The James Lowe one, Ireland were 7-13 down at that stage, and I think we all agree Ireland were definitely the better team, but they were down by 6, and momentum is a real live significant currency in a game. So this was not, in the way that we talk about French directors when there's a game in France and we don't see a replay. This was not an Irish director. This was not an Irish company. This was not RTE as the host broadcaster. This was a Six Nations production company, and the directors involved are very experienced and have been involved in the biggest games in world rugby over the last number of years. An interesting development now is that the TMO, I've been in these TV trucks, and you can just imagine there's a bunch of screens on the main wall in front of everybody, and the production team are working away, and the TMO traditionally would sit in that TV truck as well.
Yeah.
So I've been in the box at times, Virgin, look over my shoulder, I can see the TMO and hear the TMO working away and seeing all the replays. As of late, the TMO has moved to his or her own truck, presumably, and has someone going through the pictures with them. So what seems to have happened here is, and the Six Nations, we kind of inquired as to what happened, and certainly the TMO had access to all the James Lowe angles, but my understanding is the crucial one, the conclusive one, wasn't seen until after the try had been given. Now, as to whether or not, if the TMO was still in the production truck, he would have seen the conclusive image, I don't know, because certainly as a viewing audience at home, we didn't see it from the Six Nations production either. So why it was only available 3 minutes afterwards as opposed to a minute or 2 minutes afterwards, I don't really know. But suffice to say, they're going to have to sort this out, because if a World Cup final is decided in this manner, then all hell will break loose.
They've also made a choice to try and speed up decision making. So the TMO and Wayne Barnes, and we'll come to, I presume, Wayne Atodio as well, are under pressure to make their decision quicker, and if they can, not make recourse to the TMO at all. But there's still humans involved, and there's still human error involved. You look at the World Cup in football, how many VAR officials are standing in that room in their full kit making those decisions, miles away from anywhere, and they still get things wrong along the way. We have to accept some level of that mistakes will be made, and
still human beings working the technology.
Exactly. And look, I don't know how there is I presume now Six Nations and the broadcasters will have a fairly forensic, maybe never assume that's what should happen is that the broadcasters and the Six Nations have a very thorough investigation as to why, as soon as the try was awarded and Johnny Sexton converted the try, the angle that we needed to see came up on screen. But it was so marginal. It was like every other replay looked like Lowe had scored it, and then suddenly it was quite clear. But yeah, if we were on French off the ball, I'm sure we'd be livid about it. But at the same time, another mistake was made, that a far more serious incident later on, which evened things out to some degree. And English people are still giving out about Mark Cueto's try in the 2007 World Cup, which was never a try in my book. But people will still find something to blame the referee on. You got to take some responsibility for your own defeat, and it was pretty comprehensive in the end.
It was. Antonio Lima has been cited for the hit and Rob Herring. Rob Herring failed his HIA. Wayne Barnes, we heard his thought process. Matthew Carley alongside him, several people have noted, looked less sure than Barnes. Is there any argument Barnes could make in your eye a day or two on to stand over the decision?
No, and just to build on what Rory was saying there, that James Lowe try, I don't think it was a try. However, it should have been a penalty try because there was a no-arms tackle to prevent it. So we never got round. I don't know, did the TMO discuss that aspect of the tackle that James Lowe was an illegal tackle which prevented him from scoring a certain try, which should have been a penalty try. But anyway, that aside, the Antonio incident for me is, we got to, again, that word context. He's 135, 140, 150 kgs. He's as big a athlete in inverted commas as you'll ever find. And he got lazy in one part. His tackle technique was lazy. He came off the line and made a call on hitting a player who was probably going to put the ball out the back door, and he got lazy in his technique. So World Rugby in my view, has to be brutal about lazy tackle technique, and to be able to differentiate that between an accident on the pitch that might happen because the speed of the outcome is so quick that you get into a bad place. That guy, you can't have him being lazy in contact because he's going to do some significant damage. The fact he's 100 and whatever kgs means it's definitely going to be damage. I think it was outrageous. And World Rugby has to be brutal with that, because there's only one way to use great language. There's only one way to learn him, which is send him off, send him back to some tackle school, and then he comes back and he doesn't do it anymore. It was a lazy tackle technique that should be brutally punished. And I think Wayne Barnes, for whatever reason, didn't punish him.
What do you think the Barnes rationale was? Like, where do you think he got so out of kilter with basically the entire rugby fraternity here?
Maybe, again, I don't know what was going on in Barnes's head, and I didn't have a referee thing, so I didn't listen to the commentary of how he
said there was no high degree of danger about it, which was the line that everybody was shocked at.
The only thing I can think in terms of mitigating circumstances was he over compensating for the sheer size of Antonio? In other words, Antonio, even if he made a proper tackle, would smash the most of the world's population. Maybe he took that into account. But for me, it's dereliction of duty. You have to get players to get proper tackle technique. And if you allow that 50-50 stuff, you're going to allow a 50-50 tackle technique, which is going to lead to more damage. So I think I think this is a bad decision for rugby.
I think Rory as well, he half remarked, I'm talking from memory here, which is not always ideal when it comes to journalism and standards, but he seemed to as well reference the fact that not all of Antonio hit the jawline of Herring, that there was a fair proportion of Antonio hit the upper chest of Herring, therefore it wasn't just a headshot in isolation.
Yeah, and I think that's where his assertion that there wasn't a high degree of danger comes from. But the fact that Rob Herring was removed for a head injury assessment and didn't return, to me, is enough degree of danger to have the player sent off. I thought it was a scandalous piece of refereeing, to be honest. I thought this is exactly... Wayne Barnes must have sat in how many seminars over the last couple of years reviewing what is a yellow and what is a red and what is nothing and what is... and why. And this is exactly the type of tackle that rugby needs to eradicate. And I've interviewed Winnie Antonio. There's no malice. He's going out to put a hard shot on an opposition player, and as Liam said, he's probably wrecked because he's 145 kilos and he's playing against the fastest team in the world, and he just doesn't get his technique right. But there's no excuse for that anymore. We've seen countless players red carded for that very reason, and he would have to leave the field with no complaints as a result of it. You know, with malice or no, it's not about that. It's about endangering an opponent, and he endangered Rob Herring. He potentially puts Rob Herring, who's just got his chance because Dan Sheehan's injured and is 25-30 minutes into this big chance that he's got, and now he's gone and Ronan Kelleher comes on and plays really well. The next time Ireland play, it's going to be Dan Sheehan and Ronan Kelleher, and even if Herring never got to state his case, this has massive ramifications on Rob Herring's career. Also his brain health, more importantly, because we don't know, I think he's had a couple, we don't know how long this will be out. I mean, the just raw impact and sheer force of what he went through on that pitch was just a remarkable thing, and I think players like Antonio, as unfair as maybe it is, because that is his body shape, he is a massive man and he's trying to play the game to the best of his ability. He and Paul Valemsa and Tyke Furlong, big men, need to be more responsible about how they throw their size around.
There you go, that was a taster of Monday Night Rugby. Full conversation with Rory and Liam is waiting for you on podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. We'll have Brian O'Driscoll tomorrow, we'll have Jerry and Andy on Wednesday Night Rugby, so that's the plan this week.